Good morning and a heart-filled welcome to Emerson. My name is Leslie McLean. I'm a member of the worship team and of the Emerson Choir. A special welcome to those of you who may be joining our online service for the first time. We hope you are nourished in heart and minds by our worship today. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we welcome a wide variety of theological and spiritual beliefs. We honor the inherent worth and dignity of each and every person. You are welcome here. All are warmly invited to join us for what we call second hour activities following the service, beginning at 11:15. They are held in Zoom meeting rooms. Links are available in the order of service, and there are engaging opportunities for children, youth, and adults. This is a great time to explore meaningful topics and get to know other members of the community. Please also refer to the order of service for upcoming activities and announcements. In the spirit of beloved community, we say, welcome to Emerson. For our chalice lighting this morning, we have words from Carl Sandburg. Poetry is the journal of the sea animal living on land, wanting to fly in the air. Poetry is a search for syllables to shoot at the barriers of the unknown and the unknowable. Poetry is a phantom script telling how rainbows are made and why they go away. As we light this chalice, let us imagine the possibilities.
The following is not exactly what happened to me, but it's close enough that I use it. This is Salisbury Hill by Peter Gabriel. Climbing up on Salisbury Hill, I could see the city lights. Wind was blowing, time stood still. Eagle flew out of the night. He was something to observe. He came in close. I heard a voice, standing, stretching every nerve. I had to listen. I had no choice. I did not believe the information. I just had to trust imagination. My heart going boom, boom, boom. Son, he said, grab your things. I've come to take you home. To keep in silence, I resigned. My friends would think I was a nut. Turning water into wine. Open doors would soon be shut. So I went from day to day while my life was in a rut, till I thought of what I'd say, which connection I should cut. I was feeling part of the scenery. I walked right out of the machinery, my heart going boom, boom, boom. Hey, he said, grab your things. I've come to take you home. When illusion spin her net, I'm never where I want to be. And liberty, she pirouette, when I think that I am free. Watched by empty silhouette, who close their eyes but still can see. No one taught them etiquette. I will show another me. Today, I don't need a replacement. I tell them with a smile my face meant. My heart going boom, boom, boom. Hey, I said, you can keep my things. They've come to take me home.
That was beautiful, Kathy. Thank you. Good morning. I'm Sandra Malik, a member of Emerson's pastoral care team. We are available with a listening ear and a loving heart to support you during challenging times. Contact us anytime. The email address is in your order of service. At this time in our service, we pause to reflect on our week as we share the joys and sorrows of the Emerson community. Here we recall the milestones, the joys and sorrows, the changes in our lives, and we hear from those who need our healing thoughts. Today we have 3 joys from the Klein family. It is with great pleasure that I announce the engagement of our daughter, Catherine Klein, whom you all know as Katie. She and fiance, Reeve Tyndall, will be getting married in Washington, D.C. sometime in the fall 2021. We are all delighted. And from Maria Senior Cobb, I was very excited to be part of a healthy group of Emersonians yesterday, creating awareness in our community about social justice. We received plenty of honks, and I look forward to being there next Tuesday. From Star Story, who lost her husband a few weeks ago, please excuse the delay in thanking you all for you and Emerson have done for me during these last weeks. The comfort that comes from individuals and groups like pastoral care create a blanket that comforts more than I can tell you. Thank you so much for being there, Emerson. You are priceless. We know there are joys and sorrows too tender or perhaps too personal to be shared in this way. For those joys and sorrows not spoken, but which remain in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, we now take a few moments of silence. These joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken, weave us together in the fabric of community. It's tiny. But this Sunday, our vigil candle is lit in memory of the 132 people who have died from COVID-19, and to honor all those dedicated and courageous people who are serving us during this time. Doctors, nurses, and all essential workers. Now let us say the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. The words are printed in your order of service. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May they be free from harm or suffering. May they be well in body, heart, and mind. May they be at peace. Blessed be. And now Lauren will gather the children for stories of all ages.
Hi friends, it's time for our story for all ages. It's Poetry Sunday, and as I was going through stacks and stacks of poems, I came across my favorite because it reminded me of a story when I jumped off the roof. And we'll get to that, so let me go ahead and read the poem, shall I? This is called If I Could Have a Pair of Wings by Anita E. Posey. If I could have a pair of wings, do you suppose that I would choose a pair of robin's wings so that I could skim across the sky? Or would I take the wings of a gull so I could glide across the sea? Or would I buzz around flowers with the wings of a busy bee? I would, with the wings of dragonflies, dart over lakes and creeks, or with a pair of eagle's wings, soar over mountain peaks. Perhaps with the wings of butterflies, I'd fly out of sight. But with mosquito wings, I guess I'd flit about and bite. I love the ending, but I sure would not take mosquito wings. Would you? When I was little, one of my very first memories of wanting so bad I thought it would turn me inside out was the desire to fly. I didn't care how I got there. I'd heard about Peter Pan and it was going to happen for me. This meant that I was not afraid of heights, and that much to the trouble of my parents, I would climb up and jump off of anything. It is very dangerous. I never hurt myself too badly, even when I jumped off the roof. First, let me say, this is a terrible idea. I was 9. It seemed wise at the time. I got up there, I looked around me, I believed with all my might and all my hope that I could fly, and I jumped. And I became very well acquainted with a bush and the ground. I wasn't badly hurt. I guess I bounced. But I learned that day that hoping and wishing are not enough to defy gravity. It made me decide that I wanted to be an astronaut. Not only was I going to defy gravity, I was going to leave it behind altogether. That didn't quite work out, but I still love to sit and daydream about having a pair of wings, about flying off, flying away, and seeing all the things that I could see. If I was a bird, I would live in a forest. If you could have a pair of wings, or if you were a creature with wings, what kind do you think that you would be? And if you could fly away, what do you think that you would see? That's all. Let's sing our song of dedication.
For today's meditation, some Tai Chi breathing exercises. For Tai Chi, when you breathe in, you energize. When you breathe out, you relax. So it goes. Breathe in, breathe out, relax. Breathe in, breathe out. 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 Breathe in, breathe out.
Hush, 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 I don't want to hear the news today. You can say what you may, it's the same on any old day. There's a guy with a gun running round, best of times for this small town. Could you hold that thought, 'cause heaven's going on right now.
The thing that bothers me the most about this song is that it was fairly popular in 1981, and we didn't seem to listen to the words. This is Ordinary Man by Triumph. Look in the mirror. Tell me, what do you see? Can you lie to yourself like you're lying to me? Do you fall asleep real easy, feeling justified and right? Or do you wake up feeling empty in the middle of the night? You want to think you're different, but you know you never can. You're just another ordinary man. Hey, politician, can't believe a word you say. Almighty media, whose truth did you sell today? Watchdog of justice? Who keeps their eye on you? Con man, song in hand, who you singing to? The more I get to see, the less I understand. I'm just another ordinary man. Once I thought the truth was going to set me free. Now I feel the chains of its responsibility. I will not be a puppet. I will not play it safe. I will give myself away with a blind and simple faith. I'm just the same as you. I just do the best I can. That's the only answer for an ordinary man.
Hello, everyone. My name is Beth Klein, and I'd love to share some poetry by Maggie Hunt Cohen. Now, some of you may know Maggie or have known her when she was a member at Emerson, and she's a very eccentric, creative, just an eclectic person. She and her husband, Charles, belonged to Emerson for many years. They were here when I got to Emerson in 2001, when I first arrived as the religious education director. And they were here for many years. They have passed on, but the thing that I wanted to share with you is their incredible generosity. Maggie and Charles had no children, and they donated, set up a trust fund or a donation fund for Emerson in their will, and gave Emerson $72,000, which was just a huge help for us getting the current Emerson building, what we call the new one, at 4010 Canton Road. So anytime you think about what would a church be like without a lift or a little elevator or other updates and upgrades that we've done, you can thank the Cohens. I think they'd be really proud at where Emerson is today. They'd be very proud of it. So I have a book by Maggie Cohen, and it's called A Heaven of Flowers. And here's a picture of Maggie. You can get to know her a little bit. I don't have a picture of Charles. He was a tall, thin, stately man. But let's go ahead and jump in. Just a sample of Maggie's wild imagination. I'll start with this one. It's the only one I could find within a reference to church. If I was really wild, I would go naked into the streets on Sunday and parade through the church, singing against the choir. There you go. Another one of my very favorites is called Education. Children whose fathers grasp them by the wrists and swing them around in ever-widening circles learn to climb trees and mountains, build houses and homes, cross continents and make friends. Their eyes stay clear when the world whirls around them.
Good morning. I'm going to read 3 poems that I've written over the last few months. And the first one refers to a particularly difficult time of my life that I think a number of you are aware of. And it's called Starting Anew. Once I saw a hummingbird hovering powerfully in midair, drawing sustenance from petals fragile as itself, a vision of strength, persistence, and endless energy. All hope, delight, and beauty, a gentle vision of lightness and joy, an inspiration of things to come, a knowing of life to come, reality in desire. But today I see a hawk sitting on a rough wood fence, pensive and waiting, strong and enduring, patient and determined. Even if other creatures must perish, still that determined to survive, that destined to prevail, that strong, that knowing, that wise. Once I felt the giddy delight of the aerodynamic acrobat, glowing blue and rose and flashing, surviving simply on sweet nectar. But now I reach for the vision and wisdom of the determined survivor, gazing toward the long term, impatient to live more than simply wait, seeking the meaning and the reason, and to know again the delight and joy of the hummingbird.
Good morning. On this July morning, you might hear the whir of air conditioners or cicadas or birds in the background. This morning I'm going to share a poem that I wrote back in March, the beginning of spring. It was just after everything had shut down. And in a March service, Reverend Deborah encouraged us to find our personal Sabbath. For me, nature offers metaphors. But at that time, walking in the spring, where all of this life was bursting, there just seemed to be such a paradox. As spring was coming to life, but we were faced with illness and death and fear. And it was March, it was Atlanta, and there was lots of pollen in the air, and I was breathing pollen. And so that was so present in my mind, and I looked up a little bit of the genetics of pollen and how it's incomplete DNA. And I walked around the neighborhood in Vinings where I live, and I had discovered a cemetery at the top of a hill with a view of downtown. That is the Pace family cemetery, who had a ferry and traveled across the river back and forth, and were very well-to-do in the Vinings area. So I offer you my poem called Breath. An early spring walk, the pear and redbud trees shine their ephemeral beauty into gray winter forests. A moment under white pear blossoms, the whispers of beauty filling my senses, the tender shades of green, trusting the cycles of sun, rain, and wind, words of praise fill my heart, yet drift by like pollen grains, trying to find a place in my exposed vulnerability. The fear, the terror for a species that must surrender to biology, revealing our hubris. The fragility of ideas and institutions so long cherished as the inheritance of human civilizations past. My walk leads up a hill to an invasive high-rise condo towering above the Pace family cemetery. Privileged ancestors of the 1800s buried nobly on the backs of slaves and genocidal land grabs by the insatiable greed of colonizers, and today, the opportunists that continue within the vacuum of the unknown, separating us, devaluing human life, trying to preserve their pristine portfolios, their destructive virus, now matched against biology. I return to my ambling through the lightness of spring that draws me back to the ancient cycle of rebirth. What do I have to bring to a humanity isolated from its existence? I breathe in from a place of necessary solitude, grains of potential life, their DNA incomplete, landing on the edges of my exposed heart. These words.
The Trees, lyrics by Neil Perrott. There is unrest in the forest. There is trouble with the trees. For the maples want more sunlight, and the oaks ignore their pleas. The trouble with the maples, and they're quite convinced they're right. The oaks are just too lofty, and they grab up all the light. But the oaks can't help their feelings if they like the way they're made. And they wonder why the maples can't be happy in their shade. There is trouble in the forest, and the creatures all have fled, as the maples scream oppression, and the oaks just shake their head. So the maples formed a union and demanded equal rights. The oaks are just too greedy. We'll make them give us light. There is no more oak oppression, for they passed a noble law. And the trees are all kept equal by hatchet, axe, and saw.
Hi, I'm Michelle Joke. I wrote this poem a few years ago. It sort of came to me all of a piece when I woke up one morning. The night before had been so mild that I decided to open the window just a crack to get some spring fresh air in. And that's how I woke up the next morning to birdsong. Rebirth. I awoke to the sound of birds insistently belting out the call, "Spring is here! Spring is here!" Hey, you silly humans, with your windows closed to nature's changes, listen up! I did, and I was glad. For years, I have chastised myself for not officially celebrating the changing of the seasons by ceremony or ritual. But now I see that this noticing is all that is needed. I am called to walk out among the birds, to shepherd in new life in my garden, to breathe in the fresh, crisp air, filling my body with new life. I dare to hope for my own rebirth.
My second poem was inspired by some sounds I heard in the night back in the woods behind where I live. The title of it is Night Owls. The owl calls hang in the night like honey. The answers follow quickly and urgently. The singer's passing notes of love or companionship capture the night. All else stops, caught as if by something never before known or long ago forgotten. The sharp-edged pattern of sound repeats and pierces the imagination. There is something to know here, something to remember, to listen for again always on such a night. Something older than memory, something of cautious hope that reminds that hope abandoned is hope ceased.
The poetry I share with you today comes from a piece called Mass by Leonard Bernstein, first performed in 1973. In this section of the work, the celebrant or priest sings about his own perseverance in the face of constant uncertainty. The title of the song is I Go On. When the thunder rumbles, now the age of gold is dead, and the dreams we've clung to, dying to stay young, have left us parched and old instead. When my courage crumbles, when I feel confused and frail, when my spirit falters on decaying altars and my illusions fail, I go on right then. I go on again. I go on to say I will celebrate another day. I go on. If tomorrow tumbles and everything I love is gone, I will face regret all my days, and yet I will still go on.
This song is Bullets by Passenger. He's been saving since the age of 9 every shiny bullet that he could find. He built a house with wooden floors and put the bullets in a big chest of drawers. One day, as he went into town, some men with a truck, they came around. They took the TV and the gun from the war and almost every bullet from the big chest of drawers. Well, he came back home, found the house in a mess, ran into the bedroom with a big brown chest. He didn't care much about the VCR, but he cried for the space where the bullets were. Well, the men with the truck, they went into town and they sold all the silver that they had found. But they couldn't sell the bullets because they weren't live rounds. So they dug a big hole and put the bullets in the ground. Now he doesn't leave the house much anymore because the men are going to come like they did before. And he holds in his hands the 3 or 4 bullets that they left in the chest of drawers.
I've mentioned that Maggie had the heart of an artist, very creative, very talkative, very social, didn't know a stranger, and this is a sample of one of the things that she did through her life. It's called Life Drawing Class. The model holds her pose for them like a bowl of fruit, lonely for a mouth, a boat waiting for the wind. One student stubbornly outlines her bones, another caresses paper curves, and a third only wants to know her firefly eyes. At noon, she will shrug into her clothing. The students will put away their canvases, clean their brushes, and on the street look only for lunch. The archetype they were pursuing slides through the crowds as though she had never been their Mona Lisa. So yes, she was a model for art schools and university art departments.
My friend the luthier says the bridge on this guitar needs replacing. Trouble is, the last time it was replaced, they used epoxy, which soaks in, fusing the woods so you can't detach the bridge without tearing up the soundboard, wrecking the guitar. Elmer's would have been better, he says. It's water soluble, just makes the 2 woods hold hands a while, so when the time comes, a little warmth can coax them to let go with grace. He says I shouldn't try to fix it, this old lovesick guitar. Just play it till it breaks, then hang it on the wall, souvenir of all the love songs sung as it swung in my arms. It's too late to ask, but still I do. Between the woods of me and you, which would have been the better glue?
The title of my 3rd poem is The Songbird, and I was inspired to write this poem because there's a piece of music that I'm learning, and the beautiful melody line starts with a single note, and that reminded me of the first bird in the morning. Maybe you can relate to this experience, the songbird. In the time between darkness and light, as the world shifts in its turning from an end to a new beginning, in this instant, from the billions past to the endless future, she claims her place in the universe, a place forever to be hers. She sings her most beautiful note, practiced since birth for this exact time and place. And in the most beautiful voice of all time, clearly and confidently, she announces this new day. Thanks a lot.
This is from No Man's Land. Lyrics by Bob Seger. Victims come and victims go. There's always lots to spare. One victim lives the tragedy. Another stops to stare. Still another walks on by, pretending not to see. They're all out there in no man's land because it's the safest place to be. Sanctuary never comes without some type of risk. Illusions without freedom never quite add up to bliss. The haunting and the haunted play a game no one can win. The spirits come at midnight, and by dawn they're gone again. So it seems our destiny to search and never rest, to ride that ever-changing wave that never seems to crest. Shivering in the darkest night, afraid to make a stand, and then go out and do our time out there in no man's land.
My last one that I love kind of I related to it because it reminded me of something I did last weekend, and that was picking blueberries. It's called Her 75th Summer Adventure. Stalking the wild blueberry today, wearing an old hat and a red checked shirt and college girl blue jeans. She's hung a pail from her neck. She knows two-handed blueberry picking fills pails faster. Her path to fruitful bushes at the end of this island promontory passes an attacking mosquito swamp, edged with white birches, scar-blackened from limbs lost to ice storms. She reaches out to the old skinny trees to steady herself on the uneven path. Their rough bases, granite debris. She wills herself not to slip on the pine needles between those edge dragged from the north's deep freeze. At last, at the bushes, she's not surprised that children who could run there lightly picked the low branches bare. But her pail will be filled from the high canopy, the branches with a head start on those newer and lower. Aspiring for life's infinite blueness, these berries ripen first and sweetest. A few poems from Maggie Hunt Cohen. I hope you've enjoyed them.
Sing for life and light.
Let's try this again. As our worship service comes to an end, we hope that you feel nurtured in heart and mind by our time together. We invite you to conclude your time of worship with one final act. As you are able, please affirm your support for the sustainability of this congregation and the ongoing ministries that we share through a monetary offering. When we give, we say yes to something we value. We sincerely hope that you have found great value here today and will return again and again to worship and to join as a community working for positive change in our world. To make a contribution, text the words pledge or gift to 678-553-9485. You will see this number on your screen. Thank you for all you do to make Emerson a truly beloved community.
Our closing words today are from the song Change by Melissa Etheridge. I'm not too sure where I've been. I don't know just where I'm going. As hard as I try to hold it in my hand, I can't stop the wind from blowing. And so it goes. This too shall pass away. It cuts so strange. The only thing that stays the same is change.
Please join me as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.